Beers and Birds.
Run, 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 run.
Welcome to Beers and Birds. We drink beer and we talk about those Eagles. We are podcasting from the world famous lounge. I'm, of course, Rob Wheeling. I'm here with Brad in Foles We Trust Weaver.
I'm going down with the ship, Captain.
And Mike Studfeld now, Wallace.
Get him in there.
Sean Moneyball Control will be joining us in just a bit. Hey, did you know we're on the Grandstand Sports Network? Because we are. Go check us out at grandstandsportsnetwork.net, or you can check them out on Twitter. You want to listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher? You can certainly do that now. And since you love B&B, why don't you give us a nice 5-star rating? That really helps us. They have algorithms and stuff. People will look at us and think we're really cool. So just give us a 5-star rating. Put 5 stars. Nate Studfeld is wrong. Whatever you want to say, we don't care. Just give us the 5 stars because we love you.
However many we have, we need more of them.
Indeed. And those of you who've done it so far, thank you so much. It really means a lot. You want to keep up with the bird selections? Nope. Keep up with the beer selections at Beers and Birds Pod on the Untapped app. See what we're drinking.
I choose
we
you.
Thought about it. I choose you.
Bluebird.
Bluebird.
The bird sounds gotcha. I could tell.
Did. Got us all going. Then why don't you go check us out at beersandbirds.com. Grab yourself some t-shirts, maybe some beer koozies. Use the Amazon banner while you're there. So you kick a little money to the beer fund. We get a cut of that. That'd be awesome. And by all means, say hello to us on Twitter at Beers and Birds. On this pod, we will touch on the all but meaningless game versus the Cowboys at the end of the season. But then we will take a look towards the postseason, the playoffs. But first,
I'm just trying to win a game.
he's trying to win a game. So's Nick Foles. But first, Mike, what beer are we drinking today?
I'll have what she's having.
Ooh.
Courtesy of the Evil Genius Beer Company, straight out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I had to double-check the little map. I'm like, they are not straight out of Philly, but they are. Just north out over in Kensington area by Fishtown.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, these are the guys that always have the names of the beers. The Santa, I Know Him.
Han shot first.
Yes, precisely.
Is it Evil Genius
Mom.
brand?
That's
Stacey's
exactly
mom.
right. Purple Monkey Dishwasher. That's the Evil Genius guys.
Clever names for clever beers.
That's right. Right now we're doing I'll have what she's having, chocolate hazelnut imperial stout.
It's a big
Perfect
boy.
for a nice winter time.
It is, because it is cold
How
out
was
here.
the head on the pour?
The head was pretty solid. Not
kinda
extreme.
diminished a
I would
little bit.
say about a finger's width.
Okay.
Yeah,
That is a dark stout right there, my
that
friend.
is pure dark.
That's what an imperial stout should look like, though, right? That's a good consistency. I like it.
You hold it up to the light and you can't see it.
Yeah.
Can't see through it. It's
Not a
it's
darn
thick.
thing.
It's heavy. It's the way an imperial should be.
Absolutely. And being an imperial, this is a 9% beer there.
Hey, you got to stay warm somehow.
Yeah, because it is cold here. Mm-hmm. Arctic temperatures in Pennsylvania, fantastic.
I think we're getting hit by the bomb cyclone.
The bomb cyclone, the winter hurricanes coming up. Yeah. That's when you want to grab yourself a little bit.
Might
of
as well hit a
imperial
bomb
stout.
beer.
Yeah,
Damn right.
damn right.
I would consider this one a bomb beer.
Gee.
All right, smell. I'm sick. I can't smell anything. It smells like nothing.
Yes, we might as well tell you now. Our man Brad is working through a little cold here, so you may hear some sniffles, and he
couple.
can't smell.
It
But he's a
won't be-
trooper, and
it
he's
won't
here.
be Rob sniffling today.
That's right.
take
You can
credit
listen
for
to
it.
someone else sniffle. Get excited.
Definitely a little chocolatey.
I get that vanilla. Is there vanilla? No, the hazelnut. That's what I'm getting.
Oh yeah. See, I'm a big
Yeah.
hazelnut coffee guy myself.
I like hazelnut. The Rogue's hazelnut porter is my favorite beer.
Oh no way!
It is. I love that beer. I'm a big fan of that.
I will remember that.
The all-important taste.
Yeah. So
Cough syrup.
Yeah, it's thick. It's smooth though, and for that 9% alcohol, you can't taste a whole lot of it, which is impressive. You definitely get some hazelnut too. I guess a little chocolate as well.
yeah, I don't think that's very alcoholic at all, especially for
No, for
9%.
9%, it really isn't.
Yeah. You're right. Definitely cough syrupy. Definitely smooth, thick.
Got some definitely get the roast. A little smoke
It's
in there.
smooth. It's
I get some
smooth.
smoke, but that's a proper imperial stout right there.
It's even got some decent legs on it from the wine community. I'm sure that applies.
Sure, they'll let us know.
Yeah, I get a bit of hazelnut if you kind of let it sit on your tongue for a minute. You taste a little bit of hazelnut in there. It's good. It's really smooth. No lingering aftertaste on it.
Not much carbonation. But I mean, stouts you typically don't
it's
get.
Imperial,
Yeah.
so you're not looking for a whole lot.
I think that could be really nice on nitro.
Yeah. No, I think
You
that's
love
a good,
yourself.
I'm a nitro guy.
You are,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, every beer is like, that'd be great on nitro.
dark
and you
beer
know
on
you're probably
nitro.
right.
It's
Yeah, that's a fine beer right there. The mouthfeel, it's definitely heavy in the mouth. Definitely
heavy
get
in
that
the
sort
mouth.
of thick,
Yeah, it's a little on the
That's the way Robbie likes it.
little on the flat side, but that's good for this style of beer. It seems to sit pretty well in the mouth, and it drinks pretty well. I think overall it's a pretty good beer.
Should we go to one of our rating friends, might have to say here?
Well, do you guys enjoy the beer? I like it. I like it more than I thought. Being 9%, I was a little nervous. I was like, this thing's just going to taste like barley wine.
This is one of my favorite styles.
But it does not. It's very good.
Darker beer, maybe desserty, very flavorful.
That is a desserty beer for sure. It's a lot of sweet notes in there.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
All right.
Like rate beer is, I'm sure.
What Rape Beer hates everybody. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, so let's see what did our friends in the beer media say. So we're gonna go to good old Beer Advocate, and they gave it a 3.95 out of 5. So that's a really good rating for Rape Beer. All right,
That sure is.
American Double Imperial Stout availability winner. Apparently, you only get this bad boy in the winter. So, what about Rape Beer? Well, they gave it a 90 because they would, but I don't know.
But it's a strange rating because it's 90 overall, but it's only 39 for style, and I'm not quite sure
Yeah,
how
that
their
is
scoring
interesting.
system works. That you could be a 90 overall, that you're amongst the better beers overall, but within the style, you're one of the worst beers.
That
So-
does not add up.
Probably need some
Good beer.
clarification on their
Name Imperial Stout.
They apparently every Imperial Stout's better than this one, which is apparently good to begin with. So,
So yes, apparently Rape Beer's Imperial Stout knowledge. They love themselves some Imperial Stouts. If this was a 39 and got a 90,
yeah, we'll have to dig into there in the off season. That'll be one of my goals to figure out how they do the scoring and why that 90/39 makes sense.
That
how
could
much it'll
take-
cost to get the beer we just brewed a 90 on there?
Well,
Five people
that's-
have this beer, but
That's what we should bring in next week. That'll be fully carbonated, ready to go. We did a Heady Topper clone by the Alchemist, and we'll bring that in next week for sampling, and we'll give it a score and
Wow.
see how it compares to the real thing.
Cannot wait.
good times. But right now, here's something you should know. You should serve this in a snifter, according to the boys at Rape Beer.
Well, we got a good old pint glass.
Yeah, we're going, but next time we'll make sure there's snifters about for this particular beer. Snifter.
Man, that just
Like it's-
ends all nutty and roasty.
Yeah, it's good beer. I enjoy it.
Yeah,
More
I
than
mean-
thought.
39 for style on that beer. Oh man, that's like 39 for style on that game we just watched, the Cowboys Eagles.
Wait, we got to
There's
rate
no
this beer
style.
ourselves though before we get to that exciting game. I know that game's so
that was
exciting,
less
but
than a
we should also
39.
rate this beer.
That was probably a 9.
So, Brad, before we get there, what would you give this beer for the untapped audience?
It's hard for me to tell because I can't fully
Oh,
taste
yeah.
it. So probably like a 3.5. I'll just go.
we should
middle.
asterisk Brad this week.
That's a nice baseline.
I'll just
rating
go
there.
middle of the road because it tastes pretty good, but I can't taste all of it really.
You're missing out, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. I dig it. I mean, I definitely couldn't drink a lot of these because I just couldn't. But I don't know. Even if it was a lower alcohol, I don't think I could eat it because it is really thick.
It's rich.
You know what I mean? It's a good cold night beer for sure. It's
Yeah.
a great beer for right now because it is cold up in good old Landisville. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.
I'm with you. Cool 4.
Cool 4. Mm-hmm. All right, Brad.
I'll give it a 3. It goes a 3.83, which rounds to a 3.75. So
Repeating, of course.
Even with a coma, man can do the math in his head. Look at that.
yeah, it's a pretty good rating. It's not a bad beer.
It's not a bad beer.
So roughly, how many points do you expect Nick Foles to score? Is that what this beer got? Or how many points I expect Nick Foles to score?
How many completions he made? What?
The Eagles overall are 90, but Nick Foles for style gets a 39.
39. Yeah,
That's exactly right. That's beautiful.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
on that note, let's bring in the big dog Moneyball Cottrell.
What's up, Moneyball?
What's up, fellas?
How are you?
Little sad you're not getting some of this one, buddy. I think you'd enjoy this one.
So I guess we have to dig in a little and
We gotta
talk a
touch
little
on
bit.
it. I mean, a game happened. We should acknowledge it.
And we have. And now it's time to
been
move on to the
acknowledged.
next section. Okay, so Nick, you were looking for continuity with Nick Foles in the offense. You didn't get
We
it.
did not get that.
Now, Sean did bring up a good point that, Nick does not have a whole lot of confidence right now, and Torrey Smith dropping that crossing pattern where it hit him in the hands. It looked like he had room to run. Could have been a big play, allowed the Eagles to get on the board early, build some confidence, and maybe that changes, the dynamic of Foles' outing. But overall, his outing was pretty bad.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't know. I mean, do you think it was him thrown off? Because it looks like some of them were like drops, and some of them he just looked like he overthrew the guys or didn't throw it to where they were going. A lot of like off the tips of fingers. I don't know who you put that on.
I mean, yeah, and the offensive line doesn't look great right now either, and Carson kind of hid some of that.
Because he could move.
Foles
yeah.
is clearly not able. He's not comfortable with it at all. You can just tell he's playing shook and not comfortable.
Yeah. He likes
I really hope-
stable pocket.
Like in the Andy Reid era, I could see this being a shoot or shoot, and you don't get out of a slump until you shoot your way out of it. But I think we have to go the complete opposite approach right now.
Well, I mean, there's talk, like, this is all hearsay, and I don't know what they're going to offer because certainly don't want teams preparing for it, but Doug opened up the tapes of 2013 and saw what Nick did successfully, and a lot of it was no-huddle offense, and, had discussed possibly integrating some of that into the game scheme.
Oh,
and,
man.
I mean, but you have to at this point. Are you going to keep doing the same and expect different results? I mean...
I'm of the belief that any person could have did about as good as Nick Foles did that year. Like that, it's been proven Nick Foles ain't that good over years now. And Chip Kelly's offense was a marvel until every team could look at it for a year.
Right.
But that being said, if he plays better in the hurry-up offense, that your defense is going to be fresh. Defense didn't play a whole lot this week. They're resting the next week, so essentially they're going to have about 3 weeks worth of rest.
Yeah.
They come in energetic, and maybe you give up some of that time of possession to try to score. You have to score points to win. You're not going to win scoring 13 points in the playoffs. There's a lot of potent offenses out there.
Well, I think we know Foles is not 27-2 Nick Foles. I also don't think he's as bad as he's looked the past. My thing with Foles is I think he's just hit or miss. I think that's just his thing. I mean, we even saw in the first game with the Giants, we talked about it before. He kind of hit his ceiling as a quarterback. He played pretty good in that game. I think he's capable of playing a good game. The problem is you just never know what you're going to get. So as we head into the playoffs, we just hope that it's one of those games. He's played good games in the past. If you think about this, it's kind of reminiscent of I guess it'd be 2014 season, Chip Kelly's second year. I think he played about half the year, and he was really hit or miss that season too. And the Eagles somehow managed to win a lot of those games, whether they had like special teams contributions or whatever. Foles didn't play that well. I think there was a few games he played decent, few games he played horrendously bad. One Cowboys game at home stands out to me. I think they lost that game. They didn't have Romo or Des Bryant, and both teams were just horrendously bad. So we've seen Nick Foles play terrible before, and then we've seen him bounce back and throw 7 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns and just kind of do this weird Nick Foles stuff. So you just never know what you're going to get with him, which makes him not very reliable, not a quarterback you really feel great about going into the playoffs. But at the same time, it's almost good that he had these 2 horrendous games. Like maybe he's due for a bounce back. I don't know.
Well,
I
guys,
guess, but
polishing the turf.
the problem is the lack of consistency. If you're still considering them Super Bowl contenders, that you have to put together a couple of good games in a row, and it just can't be like a one Giants game flash in the pan. That he's got to play 3 good games in a row, and I'm not sure that right now he has it in him. So I'm all for Doug kind of tweaking things and trying to do things and say, I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on the defense. I'm going to go hurry up, and I'm going to try to put some points on the board.
Run the shit out of a job.
I think the other choice is to be really conservative and hope that the 17 you score is enough to keep all these prolific offenses, enough to beat them. And I don't know that it is.
Yeah, I kind of think that, since Wentz went down, obviously our chances of winning the Super Bowl went pretty drastically down. I think that, we still have a decent chance to win. I won't even talk about the Super Bowl for right now. Let's just stick with getting there. I think our chances to win 2 games at home is decent. But it basically, each game is going to come down to a coin flip, essentially, which Nick Foles shows up. I don't have an issue with Peterson changing things up to try to help him a little bit, but I also don't want to go away from what's been successful all year, which is ball control, time of possession, playing good defense. With Wentz gone, the root of our team is the defense. And I don't want to put them in a Chip Kelly situation where we're just running constant hurry up just so Foles can be average.
Right, I'm with you completely. You don't want to drastically increase your number of possessions when their quarterback is much better than your quarterback.
But your defense is fresh, and maybe they are able to put better pressure. Because, in all honesty, the past couple of weeks, the front four has not been getting great pressure on teams. If you look at the sack and pressure totals, way down over the last couple of weeks.
I believe you.
What if they just start going 3 and out because they try to make all these changes, and then
but they're going to go 3 and out anyway because teams are stacking the box. I know what you guys are saying about the run, but teams are not respecting Nick's throwing ability. They're bringing 8, 9 in the box, and they're stacking it. And certainly with Vitae over there, if you have Peters, you could probably still try to maul people. But now you're running to the middle or one side, and
it's like injuries on injuries stacking here.
So it's. He's got to test everything, see what works, and go with it.
Yeah, I agree with you too, Brad. I think that as much as I don't want to change that much, but I also don't want to, ever since Wentz got hurt, the narrative has been, well, we got to pound Jai into the ground. We got to go through the run game, but the run game hasn't really been working. If you really think about this season, the run game's been fine overall, but it's been in situations where we are doing other things too, and where the run game is complemented by a decent passing game. If you think about games like the 49ers, you remember that game, it was raining, the 49ers were 0-8. Eagles clearly just wanted to come out and run the clock away and get the hell out of there. And they tried running and they tried pounding it early on, and San Francisco just shut it the hell down. They were ready for it. They knew they were going to try and play it like that. And they shut it down, and then Wentz had to make a few plays. And then, we eventually dominated the game, but it wasn't until we went back to the pass. And I think you've seen that. The only time the run game has been really, really effective is kind of late in games as you're wearing defenses down and you have a lead. I don't think it's a run-first team, and not even by philosophy. I honestly think Peterson would like to run more, but I don't think that they're okay. They're not terrible, but I just don't think it's a run-first team. I think you still have to, Foles is going to have to contribute. So while I don't want to drastically change everything and go up-tempo, Chip Kelly style, I don't necessarily want to do complete ball control either, because I don't think we're built for that either. So.
I mean, my biggest fear against a good team in the playoffs is we get down by a couple scores early, and that's not something this team's built to dig their way out of. If we get down 14 or 17-0 to a New Orleans Saints with their great running backs, you're in deep shit. Yeah. I mean, Kamara's explosive. Ingram's a great in between the tackles runner. They could start doing what we had been doing to teams earlier, and they could start utilizing those guys, and they could just salt it away. And then somebody like Breeze, obviously on the play action, can hit you deep. And I'm fearful. I don't want to get down big points early. And
Yeah, well, I think regardless of what you do with Foles, though, this team's in deep shit. If they get down 17-0, they're already in deep shit. Like that's been the case since Wentz went down. When Wentz went down,
Then you're
Wentz
like
used to
every
be
other
the
team.
magic eraser. Wentz could erase and dig you out of situations like that. You don't have that now.
You
You
pull
have
some
to
Houdini shit, yeah.
you have to play a perfect game. You have to play a New York Giants 2007 type playoff run. Maybe not quite as magical because I think the team overall is a little better than that team. But you're going to have to. It's going to be a tight contest, and you're going to have to. You can't get down 17-0. You're screwed either way, regardless of who you're playing. I think it's going to be a close game. You're going to have to. All the breaks are going to have to go our way, and that's just the reality. That's where we're at right now with this team. I mean, it sucks, but it's.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It does,
that was my only thought of going up tempo. If you happen to, if he gets hot for a drive or two and you drop 10 points on the board, then maybe some of the other things start opening up a little bit. But like you said, that Niners game for the first quarter and a half to 2 quarters, I mean, they were right in that game. I forget what the halftime score was, 10-3, something like that. We were up.
Yeah, you're right.
But
Pre-Garoppolo.
but we were.
That's right.
We were trying to pound the ball, and we just couldn't establish that consistent running threat. So I guess it depends on the matchup too. It depends who you're playing. I guess we have 3 choices: the Falcons, the Saints, or Panthers. So, who would you guys prefer to play out of those 3 teams? I would probably say not the Saints. I would say Falcons or Panthers, but.
Yeah, I mean, and not Rams as well.
Well, Rams have no choice. They if they win, they go to Minnesota. They're the 3 seed, so the Rams will not come to Philadelphia in our first game.
The only time you'll see him is in the NFC.
The Falcons
In
are
the
playing
NFC
the
Championship.
Rams. And if the Falcons win, we're definitely playing them, and that's just the way it is.
We're playing the Falcons,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
So,
I think I'm hoping for the Falcons personally.
yeah, I don't think the Falcons are that good. I don't think the Panthers are that good either. Saints, out of those 3, Saints make me the most nervous. Absolutely. I'm with Brad. They just have so much going on. They have Drew Brees, he's old, but Drew Brees is, he's not going to get rattled. He's been there before. And, even now he's just become a real competent game manager. He can still throw one every now and then.
And one
those
of the
running
big,
backs are sick.
I think they could probably run the ball better than I think the Falcons could.
and
easily.
their screenplays, like if you look at the Rams, Gurley shredded us on screenplays, short passes, things of that nature.
yeah.
Kamara could tear us up equally.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Ingram did too.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
Mark
both those
Ingram's
guys
really
can
good. I
catch.
feel like Kamara gets a lot of the attention, but Mark Ingram's quite good.
Absolutely. Mark
They're
Ingram's
really-
having a great year.
It's a really great tandem they have going on there. So
I've seen the Falcons offense when if they can't really run the ball, their passing games kind of build off that running game. They feel like ignoring Julio for a half.
They feel like ignoring Julio for a season, apparently.
Matt Ryan has never really been strong in the improvisation side of things.
He's not good when he gets hit either. He doesn't get hit.
Well, and I also like the matchup
they get
against
some
the
pressure.
Panthers because
Yeah.
I think Schwartz is this is his last audition for a head coaching thing, so he's going to come out with a exotic game plan. And I think that's if it happens to be the Panthers, it's going to be shut Cam Newton down, which
Right.
means make him pass.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
we've seen happen before. I mean, when Jim Johnson was masterful the year the Eagles went to Super Bowl, shut down Vic with that mush rush and
Yes.
kind of forced him to stay in the pocket and eliminated his running ability. I think Cam's the same way.
and they really only have a couple weapons. Like it's McCaffrey, Funchess.
Greg
Olsen.
Olsen.
Yeah, that's really it.
But Olsen looked like shit last week.
I'm gonna play a little. Well, actually, I'm not playing devil's advocate. I kind of think I'm with you guys on Falcons. Falcons are my number 1. I'd like to face. I just think that they're not that great. But after that, I've been scared of the Saints all season. But for some reason, I just have this bad gut feeling about the Panthers. To me, they just seem like a cold weather. That team that can come in and just knock you off, and you walk away thinking like, "What the hell just happened?" Like, I could just envision,
like a
Panthers-
Buccaneers kind of thing that one year.
like but not even like. I envision the Panthers with their like pesky defense. Nobody on that defense is that good except for Kuechly. The defense isn't that great, but they play really laid back. Like they're not very aggressive, so they're. but they play to not lose the game. So they're just going to frustrate you all game. I think Kuechly's probably going to shut down the run game.
They close and they tackle. Yeah.
Exactly. They close and they tackle. They're going to give you short stuff, but you're going to have to convert constantly on short passes, which Nick Foles is not going to do. They're just going to frustrate the living shit out of you. And then on offense, I don't like. They're a running team who, the running backs aren't great, but with the fact that Cam Newton's factored in, that gives it another dimension. And they can beat you up a little bit in the run game. And just when you're beat up, Cam Newton hits freaking Greg Olsen over the top. And they've somehow survived. They've never had that many weapons, but they've always been able to survive with Greg Olsen and like one little fast guy. And I just kind of see them doing that again. And maybe Cam Newton just makes one play that Foles can't match, and that being the most frustrating playoff loss in a while.
Maybe Damiere Byrd burns Jalen Mills on a double move or something rank like that.
Exactly. And I think I do think the Saints are a better team. There's no question about that. But for some reason, I feel like the Eagles could play a better game against the Saints.
Because they have to come in the cold weather?
Come in the cold weather. I mean, Breeze is – I don't really think Breeze is I think Breeze will be fine in the cold weather. I think the Saints will be really tough too, but I think that the Eagles will be able to move the ball. It'll be a little less frustrating, I think.
Aren't you more nervous about the Saints' offense though, versus the Panthers' offense? I just feel like the Saints could just run up the game on them.
I do, but I don't think they could. Like, I think our defense will be okay. Like, I think they'll beat us sometimes. We'll beat them sometimes. I just don't feel good about the Panthers. I just have a bad feeling about how that game would go.
I've never liked having to play a team again either. Like, we did beat the Panthers. We've played them already. They know us. They know the Birds.
Well,
the Saints would be completely fresh.
Well, I don't know that it's going to be that big a deal because, in all honesty, the Saints have beaten the Panthers both games this year by double digits. So, I know that it's hard to beat a team three times in a year.
Wait,
but
didn't the Panthers beat the Saints in the first matchup?
I heard the other day that the Saints won by double digits twice against the Panthers this year.
I'm looking at it now.
I didn't verify it, but
did Skip Bayless tell you that?
Saints schedule 2017.
Actually, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you are right. They lost 31-21.
Saints crushed them, and
34-13. Yeah, you're right. And it's in the Dome, so I do think the Saints probably win that game against the Panthers. So probably don't have to worry about that frustrating death march that I just talked about. But I do think it's possible. I honestly do think it's possible that the Falcons beat the Rams.
I do too. I do too.
You think
it's
so?
just the savvy veteran team that just went to the Super Bowl goes out west and kind of punishes a young team that doesn't know what it takes to win in the playoffs.
Take that, McVay.
They're that fancy offense that doesn't have to play in the weather and can just go to another great weather city.
Yeah, I don't think that Goff. I think Goff is okay. I think he's improved, but I don't think he's ready for the big time. I could see him coming out and laying an egg.
No, I tend to agree with that. I think the Falcons, they struggled at the beginning of the season, but they had a strong second half, and they're playing pretty well right now. So I think they take care of I think the Rams will be good, but I just don't. Yeah, I'm not convinced that they're playoff ready yet.
Actually, my favorite to come here would have been the Rams. I would have loved to play the Rams for that exact reason. I don't think they're ready. And then if you bring small-handed Jared Goff into freezing cold Philadelphia in a high-pressure situation, I just see him melting like a stick of butter.
Yeah, aren't you worried about Gurley in that defense now?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I'll take. Look, every team in the playoffs is good.
They all have running backs,
and I will take.
Fair.
I will match up with a running back any day over a good quarterback.
Touche, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so
But we're not playing the Rams, so it doesn't
We're
matter.
not playing the same.
Not yet.
At least not
Maybe
till
not
the
at all.
championship.
So we're kind of guessing between Saints. It looks a lot like the Saints, kind of. Unless we think the Falcons go out there and win, then it'll be the Falcons. So, okay, I'm okay with that. We could beat either of those teams. just have to, kind of take away what they do best. And we're still a pretty good run defense, so, maybe we could shut down the dual running back threat. I do think that teams have seemed to have a lot of success lately in screen passes against us, so we'll have to make sure we're aware of that. And you don't want Kamara to get in space because he could take something that's small gainer into a big gainer very quickly.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the run game as much as I'm worried about what you just said, the screen game and like the splitting Kamara out wide and having him matched up in Michael Kendricks in space.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, God. You
We've
see
seen
like the dollar
theoretics to
signs
it.
in Drew Brees' eyes when he sees that.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I
nobody
think that's
wants
going to
that.
have to be. Their Eagles are going to have to be prepared for that because they can't get Kamara matched up on a linebacker.
Yeah. So, here's what I got for you guys. I was trying to do a bit of a name game earlier today. I was trying to build. I thought it'd be fun to like troll through some players' Twitter feeds and get like some just fun facts on these guys and like whether they're big FIFA players or if they have a favorite beer or food or anything like that. I thought that would have been fun. I'd spent about 45 minutes on this and got nowhere. My first trip was to Malcolm Jenkins' Twitter feed. Rapidly realized it was nothing but like retweeted CNN articles.
Oh, really?
And, yes. He's a really good. I would totally like to have conversations with him in real life, but his Twitter feed's just boring as hell.
Just boring.
Yeah. So then I'm like, who's the weird dude I could go to? And I went Jalen Mills.
Okay.
He's got the fluorescent green hair.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a party boy, still a college young guy. I couldn't do it. Between the just retweets of people taking pictures of him at random places and like companies sending him food and supplements and video games and Verizon grinds.
You couldn't get any. You couldn't glean anything from like
There
what
was
video games he likes or
virtually
anything like that?
nothing.
He just said they sent me Call of Duty. Yeah, and that's
Right.
it.
Or thank you to 15 people that tweet at Sidney Jones and be like, I'm sorry you're hurt. And he's like, that's okay. Things like that. Like
Greatest tweet ever.
Jalen
That's
Mills
okay.
did tweet in April. He's like, you guys got to check out the new Call of Duty. Like, that was the most fun thing I found.
Jalen Mills is right there. That's a great game. The World War II is really good.
Yeah. I saw Iron Hill was retweeting this in January 27th here. They're doing like a Belgium comes to Westchester,
Okay.
like beer tasting or beer festival or something of those nature. So I think Iron Hill's going to have a lot of Belgians if you want to go check that out in Westchester.
So we got to find a way to find the NFL players that like beer,
There
craft
you
beer,
go.
Yeah.
and get them on the podcast.
I don't know. We're probably going to have to look at linemen and D linemen. is what
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
thinking. I don't know how many.
who's
skill
supposedly
positions
in listening to sports radio is a good beer guy, and I think owns a bar in Philly is Brent Selleck.
oh, that makes sense.
Yes, he does.
I see Brent
with
Selleck
Todd
doing some beers.
Harriman's.
Yeah.
It was like 687 or something like that.
Do they still own that?
I don't know.
I think it was 879 or it was their numbers put together. It was like
Yeah.
because he was 79.
Oh,
right?
you're
So it'd
right.
be like 879 or 797 or something like that.
Did anybody ever go there?
No,
I wanted to, but never did. And I think Selleck's woman owns like a tanning parlor studio type thing down there, like where you can go get tanning.
Beers and tans.
Let's see,
right.
Jeremiah
good to
Trotter owns a bunch of like car dealerships or car washes.
well, I feel like this has devolved into off-season conversation already.
Pretty much.
Have we given up?
So I actually have a. While you guys were talking, I was writing down a few things. Sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Nope.
Before I wrote down a few things, but were you doing your game or just?
Those
was
were my
explaining
tales because I didn't actually get to make one.
All
I
right,
didn't
before
find
we
enough
leave
useful
that, Before we
information.
go into Sean's thing, so nothing. You've gleaned. How many Eagles players did you look at?
Like 4. It was mostly the secondary.
No linemen? You figure those would be your boys?
If Evan Mathis was on the team, he was a great Twitter follow. I could have got tons of stuff from Evan
what?
Mathis.
I'd be willing to bet that Chris Long would be a good one.
I will check it out. I'll get back. I'll go for some of the hosses.
Chris Long got mentioned by Obama.
Actually, Chris Long's Twitter account is awesome.
Yeah, he got.
it's
Yeah, he did.
Well, he has a lot of that charity type stuff, but then there's also he's pretty funny. He trolls a lot of people on there too. Did you see his tweet over the summer to, I think Fletcher Cox, yeah, was complaining about Delta Airlines or something, and he changed, Chris Long changed his name to Delta Airlines, and he put their symbol up, and he said, "Stop complaining, Fletcher. Eat your bag of chips."
No, but that's fantastic.
That was a great one. Yeah, it was classic. And it took Fletch about an hour to figure out he was getting trolled.
Yeah, and he had the apology the other week when he didn't see the ball. Like I like Chris Long's Twitter a lot.
Yeah, he was. He's a great ad.
So
great addition.
So what we learned today, best Twitter account on Philly, Chris Long. Anybody else? I mean, Carson's is not that exciting. It's just more.
No, Carson's is just like AO1 and like here's a picture of me hunting,
right?
And here's my dog.
Yep.
Hey,
which I mean, it's a good-looking dog, and a
people were
wife
getting
too,
upset about something. He was showing like some of the birds he shot or something, and people in Philly were getting upset.
People in Philly need to.
I think some of the anti-hunting people aren't a big
down.
fan of Carson hunting so much, but like whatever.
He's a hunter,
like they do that. They do that to anybody.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just dum-dums being mad.
I'd imagine it wasn't a big deal, so I didn't look any further into it. So it probably sounds like it wasn't not a big deal.
I don't care if you like hunting or don't like. I mean, I'm not a hunter. I'm not really into it or could care less about it, but how dare you criticize Carson Wentz?
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Blasphemy. You will go to hell for that.
I hear he just yells at him, and then they just come over and lay at his feet and die. Come here.
He probably wouldn't like that, though. He wants there to be a sporting chance
That's
that
true.
the bird has to get away.
Good point. Because he's all about fair play. Fair play wins.
Huh.
All right.
AO1. Carson can't miss Wentz.
Right, so any other Twitter feeds we should talk about before?
No, Sean, what do you got here?
Take the reins, buddy.
So I'm going against the advisement of Rob here. As you guys were talking, I was just jotting down some thoughts. And I have a couple awards to give out. Well, I don't have the awards to give out. I think we should give them out. Just have 5 or 6 of them here I just thought of.
Woo, let's do it.
For the regular season. So first one is, I'll start with the bottom. Who's the most disappointing player of the year for the Eagles? And this is the only negative award we're giving out.
I'm going to go Torrey Smith. A lot of people might not have had high expectations for him, but I kind of did.
My bar was set so low that I kind of got what I expected. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good qualification. I guess it's relative to where your bar was.
Who else is?
There's Pumph.
Probably LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, that's
really.
18 coming off 18 touchdowns, 1,100 yards last year.
Yeah, but you didn't expect him to do that here, did you?
No, I expected maybe 1,008, 9. I don't know what's his.
Well, I think you probably
total?
would have gotten that if Ajayi didn't come. I think he's around like 800.
Is he that close?
Touchdowns, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think so. It
was just a very, and maybe that's my fault for expecting more, but because he is unsexy, but he did give unsexy results.
Let's go with pom-poms, though.
He's kind of like, for me, what you said about Torrey Smith. He's actually probably so he has 766 yards, and he's got 2 touchdowns. But touchdowns is indicative of his usage at the goal line. And they threw a lot at the goal line because Wentz was amazing in the red zone.
Yeah.
That's very true. By the way, 879 Lounge is closed.
Oh.
What?
I just want to throw that out
so much for that field trip.
You could make an argument for Smallwood. I know Mike hated Smallwood, but he was one of the guys they were, before we got Ajayi, they were counting on him to take a step forward and be the guy.
But I don't always believe that when the Eagles, when Dave Spadaro gets out there and tells you how good Wendell Smallwood's going to be, that just tells me he's not very good to begin with.
I agree, but I think the Eagles coaches were hoping, and I was hoping too, he was the only guy that you're like, all right, he's second-year player, maybe he can take a step forward. He was somewhat effective in a limited role last year. Maybe he can take a step forward and be the not the lead back, but like a decent contributor.
Sizable
And he just
chunk, yeah.
completely
Oh.
shits the bed and doesn't even play now.
But I'll tell you who actually, now that you're talking about that, who disappointed me. Troy Burton had 33 catches last year, probably has half as many this year. Going into his first big contract opportunity, and maybe he didn't get the chances since they improved the receiver so much. But I thought coming off a 33
tight
catch
ends,
season that he had a chance to really kind of evolve into that 40, 50 catch kind of guy, and he just never hit it. And, he played well. That one game Ertz was out. He had a pretty good game, but, mostly was silent for the majority of the season.
He didn't really play though.
That's what I'm saying. I think Ertz took all his time.
And
really.
when he did play, he was awesome.
Yeah, but Ertz was playing last year.
He had,
Yeah, but there's more receivers up there, too, I wonder.
23 catches,
Like you were
250,
just saying.
and 5 touchdowns.
I'm going to say he was just a victim of more targets to people that are better. And he's a free agent. I'd be curious where he ends up going.
Somebody will give him a chance.
I think so.
Good money. Like,
I think he'll get a decent contract because when he did play, he played in he started over Ertz in 2 games this year, and he made a noticeable difference. And
Yeah. Both those games.
I mean, he made some amazing catches against the Rams.
yeah. Well, but I mean, I still think that the wideouts weren't that good, that if he was that impressive, which I thought he was last year, that he would have improved on last year's stats. I don't know how much less he was playing. I'd like to see how much more he played last year than this year.
Moral of that story, when you play next to DGB, you look really good.
It's not hard. It's not hard.
So who was your choice for that, Sean? Was it Smallwood?
I was making an argument for him, but I think I still have to go with Torrey Smith.
Yeah.
I think
I like it.
like
Way
I
to go.
didn't expect him to do anything crazy, but I didn't expect him to be as lifeless as he is.
I had 31 catches last year. I never thought that you just regain that if you're a good wideout, your numbers may suffer, but that was barely like on a roster numbers he had last year.
So according to, what is this, Pro Football Reference, the 2017 season, Trey Burton played 300 snaps, which accounted for 26%,
Okay.
compared to Ertz played 68%, Selleck played 41%.
But what it was is
Sounds like
his,
more. Huh.
his percentage versus his own percentage the previous year.
Let me see. Previous season.
Oh, the percentages you gave, that was this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last year he played 29%. So a little bit
23
more.
to 29.
Okay. Well, I just thought that, you had a budding, perhaps, star, but that's not the case. So
I still think he might be a pretty decent move tight end for a team that wants to use him.
I
Yeah.
definitely think he will. I think he's going to be good next year I just think they didn't have any space for him.
Well, I think the overhyped bad trade award goes to the people that jumped on Howie and the Eagles for trading Jordan Matthews and the pick to get Darby back over here. If I could throw that out. Everybody's talking about how good Jordan Matthews was, and look what a shit season.
He did. Well, he's hurt, but he still didn't.
He put up a shit burger when healthy.
Yeah.
He was averaging like 10 yards a catch. I think only had 27 catches for the season. Something really atrocious.
He didn't look good.
Like not approaching like the Hall of Fame levels that people would have you believe when he left here.
No. Agreed. He's got a lot of numbers out of some volume out of Chip Kelly's offense, but
And the fact they had nobody else last year, they were
Right.
just force feeding him. And
yeah, he's a nice guy. I hated him as a fit for the team.
yeah, he should have taken that contract. The Eagles were going to give him like 7-8 million, but he wanted 10, 11 million.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be lucky to get a 1 year, $2 million deal.
Yeah, I mean, he's just it's a weird
Oops.
fit for an offense that most offenses don't want to run some gigantic, like very small tight end like Jordan Matthews kind of is in the slot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like he proved he never could play outside.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have him. So
Howie, kudos to Howie.
kudos to
I
Howie.
agree.
What else you
Darby
got? What else you
capitalized
got,
on
Sean?
teams like Buffalo.
Sports Illustrated gave Howie Executive of the Year.
As they should.
I like it.
All right. Next one is newcomer of the year. So you have guys like Patrick Robinson,
That was gonna be my guy.
all the rookies, Alshon, Torrey, Chris Long, Ajayi.
Ooh.
Newcomer
So not
of the
rookie,
year.
newcomer. Okay.
Yeah, we can. Well, you know what? Let's do. Well, rookie's kind of easy. Let's do newcomer of the year.
Yeah, rookie's Barnett.
All right, Barnett.
I'm going to do Patrick
Who else
Robinson.
would be the rookie?
Clement.
Ah, get the
Jake,
fuck out of
Jake
here.
Elliott. Jake Elliott you could make an argument for Jake Elliott.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll stick with Pat Robinson. He's in
Jake
like his
Elliott
9th or 10th
single-handedly
year.
won 2 games.
He was always
did.
been a career kind of not very good guy, like barely even journeyman. And he's been a legit weapon this year.
he was a good fit in
Who's
the defense.
Patrick Robinson.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say Chris Long,
Chris Long,
too.
yeah.
A couple of the strip sacks he had came in important parts of games.
definitely.
And,
He's after.
he seems to come up big. Like when a team's driving down for a tying score, he seems to come up with big
Yeah.
plays.
I just thought he was going to get paid off name value, but he's actually
No,
like a
he's earned that
legitimate
money.
help. I
Yeah.
really like that.
And the fact that they are able to rotate him, they didn't ask him to do too much. They're not asking him to play
Right.
50, 60% of the time. You know, he just comes in as 30, 35% of the time and can go 100% and makes plays.
Yeah.
I think both of those would be great candidates.
I think I go Chris Long.
I probably go Chris Long, but yeah, a 1A, 1B kind of thing.
Right.
Where Patrick Robinson would be right there.
I think I'm going to go Robinson. I'm going to go Robinson. I'm going to have Long and Elliott as my 2 guys that actually, the more I think about it, Derek Barnett too. Derek Barnett, we only had how many sacks? Let's see.
Yeah, like
He helped him cover that Oakland game.
3.5, 4.5.
yeah. No, he's been
He
good.
had, he ended the season with 5 sacks, but he also had
A lot of
he was
QB pressures.
pretty good against the run, QB pressures, and I think he had 2 blocked. He had 2 blocks,
There you
and I
go.
think their extra points. One of them was at the Giants game that essentially kind of put them. I think he blocked an extra point right against the
Yeah.
Giants,
Yeah.
which essentially made that the awkward score. And at the end, the Giants had to go for a touchdown and couldn't kick a field goal to tie it.
Yep.
And they ended up winning. So small differences. Jake Elliott wins 2 games by himself. Chris Long probably wins 2 games as well with strip sacks. But I think I'm going to have to go Patrick Robinson for his overall. I just think he's been a huge, in a defense built around your pass rush, you need a secondary that can at least support it. And he's been huge in being able to do that this year.
Yeah, he's played really well, and obviously when you bounce back from 7-9, go 13-3, you're gonna have a lot of people step up. So we're fortunate where that was a tough decision. You know, we had a couple people that really did step up. You know, good newcomers. And what about best returning player? Let's take Carson out of it. Don't
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
like, wow.
best.
So I have I have the 2 MVPs. So the next one I have is most improved player.
Well, I guess that's kind of what I was getting at with the
Oh, you meant comeback player?
yeah, like best returning or yeah.
You know, here's one for you. Jason Kelsey.
It's a great one.
There was, all this wind about them just
Yeah.
cutting Kelsey or trading Kelsey, and how he's been kind of low-key bad for 2 years in a row. And now this year, apart from some of his shotgun snaps, which Carson has saved and Foles not so much, but he's been a legit weapon in the running game
Oh,
and
yeah.
fine in the passing game.
Yeah,
He's been the best center in the NFL, I think, this year.
I
Well, he's
believe it.
definitely up there. I mean,
and you know what I think helps him? The
yeah.
2 big guys next to him, I think Wisniewski and Brooks next to him, really kind of complement the way he is.
Agreed.
Because they're big kind of hosses that can hold the line while he's pulling, and the things that he's deficient in, they
Right.
can help when there's a push up the middle.
You can't. It's harder to pull around a guy that's already got 2 steps in the backfield.
Another shame is Peters going down because we had a really great thing going with our starting
Yes.
5 offensive line. But yeah, he's had a great year. Can't take anything away from him.
No.
And he got a snub from the Pro Bowl.
just wrong.
Did he get snubbed?
Did.
He
Man.
did get snubbed.
Garbage.
Yep. But I was going to go with obvious, Aguilar, the development
yeah.
into
He definitely-
something real, a tangible wideout,
Absolutely.
like from a head case, a mess, They couldn't
Complete
get it
total bust.
out of his own way. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just developed into what we needed him to be, which is a legitimate NFL wideout,
Right.
like a threat.
Somebody you got to take seriously.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
he's
not only that, but he's a weapon. He went from being complete waste to not even being a legitimate player to being a weapon. He's 8 touchdowns. He's been great after the
He's been making
catch.
just
Oh,
and
that's
also some
huge.
ridiculous catches. He pulled some ridiculous catches
Yeah.
this year too.
Yeah, and a lot of it I have to attribute to just confidence. I mean, I forget, in the last week or two, he had a play in the end zone where he climbed up over the D-back and grabbed the ball. Like,
Yeah.
that's not a play he would have made
That's not
last
an
year.
outdoor play.
He
No.
was aggressive and assertive, and he
he was behind
said,
him, yeah.
He said, "This is my ball." Jumped up over the corner, grabbed the ball, pulled it in for a touchdown.
Yeah,
was awesome.
I don't think I could. Yeah,
He
he's got to
wouldn't,
be.
he
it.
wouldn't
He's
have done
gotta
that
be-
last year.
He's got to be.
That was a Randy Moss play.
Yeah,
Randy Moss used to do that all the time.
Yeah, that was something that you wouldn't have seen till this year, and yeah, he may be our best wideout right now. I mean, I'm on record being lukewarm on Alshon,
Yeah.
but
Certainly hasn't done
Alshon
much
does.
lately.
Alshon does demand coverage, which kind of helps Nelson probably, but Nelson may be our best wideout right now. I don't know.
I kind of think you might be right.
Yeah, he's at least getting the most done right now.
Yeah, it's hard to say he's not the most improved.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, considering what kind of a tragic head case he was last year, poor guy. I mean, now, it's night and day.
Well,
I
it
mean,
was
yeah,
so hard
legitimately
for
night
me
and
to
day.
believe when like coaches would say, I would hear, "Oh, he was so good in practice,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "How can that be?" Because I'm looking at him in the games and it's
That's
not
not compute.
translating. What
Yeah.
I mean, I could not understand that. But I mean, he's not training any different. He's not doing anything any different. He's seeing that sports psychologist, and now he's confidence. And it's amazing what a little bit of belief in your ability how far that can go.
Yeah,
Get on his Instagram, check out that dime piece he's with. You'll see where he got all his confidence from.
good for you, man.
He's a walking testament to my belief in Pumphrey.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to believe
know how
he
much
might have a
shit.
chance now.
Pump.
You know how much
That's
shit
right.
Sean's going to be able to talk if Pumphrey comes back in as a player?
Oh, my
We've been
God.
trashing all
He's a
season.
legend.
If he comes back next year, yeah.
be
Now,
Pumpageddon.
I have to root even harder against him now just so Sean can talk shit for the next decade.
All right, so next category is defensive MVP.
Nigel Bradham.
I think so.
I think without him playing the hammer that, he's a big reason that so many good things happen. And obviously the D linemen, kind of eat up players in front of them and stuff like that. But we were so, once Hicks got injured, we had no depth at linebacker. And if he wouldn't have stepped up and played well, I mean, we're looking at Joe Walker. We're looking at Najee Good. We're looking at players that are fringe NFL players. And he stepped up and not only did like an adequate job, but I think did a really good job and he's another one that played himself into a good contract next year. And he may follow Schwartz to wherever Schwartz goes or whatever, because he did from Buffalo to here. But
That's a really good call.
I mean, and I think that he is underrated in coverage. He's not great, but he's more than adequate.
You just can't catch the ball.
Well,
That's true. That's true. But
No, it says something that he's like, look, I don't really honestly expect linebackers to catch the ball. Like when they throw it right at you, like you got to get it. But you're so close to the quarterback that a lot of times you don't have a lot of time to react. So while those were incredibly disappointing plays, I don't necessarily blame him. I give him more credit for being in position as a linebacker to make those plays. And granted, you love to see them actually make them, but the fact that he was there is enough for me to be happy with him on those plays.
But you put him above Cox? I mean, anchoring down that line?
I wouldn't personally, but
Yeah, it's kind of asking Brad.
well, I just didn't want to kind of go with the obvious.
Sure,
I mean, anyone
sure.
could say Fletcher Cox, Malcolm Jenkins, like. Okay.
Najee Good.
Who was a really good player that was able to rush the passer, cover tight ends, stop the run, call defenses. he did all that.
Linebacker was in this defense even. It's been a while, and it's kind of funny to even see that in an Eagles uniform.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Hicks could be that guy, but he seems to be leaning toward. I mean, seems to be more injury prone as time goes on, and I think that's why we got him in the third round to begin with, because he had a couple of college injuries, and you hope it's not a pattern, but you never know at this point.
I think that's 2 out of 3 years he's getting seriously hurt now.
And is his contract up after next year or after this year?
I think after next year.
Next year, okay.
I believe so.
Wait, who? Bradham?
Hicks.
Oh, Hicks next year.
Okay, so we can at least see him one more year before we make a decision. We don't have to run in and give him big money before.
Although the Joe Banner and Hallie Roseman thing, and I don't know how this plays out with injuries like Hicks, but they usually extend the year before to
get him in at a
get
more
a better
agreeable
market deal.
More agreeable hit. We'll see. I think Bradham's gone, but that leaves us perilously thin at linebacker.
What about you, Rob?
Oh, I was going with Fletcher because he's, but like Brad said, he's the easy choice because he's just a monster on the line. I mean, I think he's the one. At least they got he's getting double teamed all the time. I think he's definitely the best player on that defense.
I think Cox is the best player. I'd probably go Jenkins for most valuable, though, for a lot of the same reasons that Brad mentioned. Bradham, I think that Jenkins, for like the 10th year in a row, has been the guy. Like, he hasn't even played his main position. He just plays every other position. He plays linebacker. He plays slot cornerback.
This was Sunday night for the defense. Yeah.
He's literally held every defense that we've had over the last 4 years together, whether it's Billy Davis's 3-4 or Jim Schwartz's attacking
Billy Davis
4-3. He's just been. He's a leader. He pretty much all the same stuff that Brad mentioned about Bradham. You can say about Jenkins, except I really think that he's kind of the key holding that whole secondary and the linebackers together. I really feel like he holds everything. He's the glue that holds that whole thing, that lets it work, especially when you have injuries like Jordan Hicks and stuff like that.
And also, he does the little things. I mean, the Raiders are driving down to take the lead late in the game, and he refuses to let the ball carrier go down, and he strips the ball off. It was Marshawn, I think. Just got the ball back. Just because he wanted it more. He just, all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to rip this out of your hands because I want to.
Because it's what needs to be done right now.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that pick. I mean, sometimes I just try to reach a little bit outside of the obvious and the norm, but you cannot go wrong with saying Malcolm Jenkins is the defensive MVP.
Here's a take that is borderline blasphemy in Philadelphia, but I honestly think I have a good case to make for it, in that Malcolm Jenkins is the 2017 version of Brian Dawkins. It sounds crazy, but if you think about it like this, he pretty much does all the same things Dawkins did. Dawkins was awesome because he was so versatile. He could come down in the box and hammer you as a linebacker. He could play free safety over the top. He could occasionally line up with receivers and play corner. His big claim to fame was his big hitting, which is mostly illegal in 2017. So, I don't think that Dawkins would really be able to play the same way he did. And if you think about it, what do you love as a Philly fan? What do you love Dawkins for? You love him for his demeanor, his Wolverine stuff, his big hits.
The Dawkplex, yeah.
That big hits, he just. I think we love his personality, honestly, more than we loved his play. And his play wouldn't really be legal in 2017. Now, he's my favorite player of all time, so I don't want anyone to think I'm trashing him. But
why are you trashing him, Sean?
Jenkins can play safety. He can come down the box. He's not the hitter that Dawkins was, but he's a sound tackler. He forces fumbles. He can rush the quarterback. He can play in the slot. I think he's probably a better cover player than Dawkins was. So I think in 2017, he's the less flashy version of Brian Dawkins.
Well, I would agree with that, except for
is
one
he
thing.
Logan now?
I would say for the most part, he would he does everything you want out of safety. The reason he doesn't get the level of recognition because the team is not as successful as it was during the Dawkins era. You know, if we had been going to the playoffs, winning playoff games, been on the cusp of a Super Bowl, I think perhaps he'd be getting a lot more credit. He still deserves every bit of it, but the teams just haven't been quite as good, and you tend to give a lot more heap a lot more praise on people when they're winning playoff games. And you know, maybe they go far this year, maybe they go to the Super Bowl, maybe people start talking about them in the same breath. And yeah, I would say it's not that far off. I don't know. It'd be some stupid meathead Eagles fan that would argue that they don't belong in the conversation together. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, the guy does everything. Like you said, he plays multiple positions. He forces turnovers. He can cover anyone.
All the way down to coming out of the draft as like a corner safety hybrid. Like Malcolm Jenkins started a handful of years in New Orleans as a corner.
And they asked Sean Payton at the beginning of the year, "What's your biggest regret as a head coach?" And he said, "Letting Malcolm Jenkins go."
It was colossal mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. He's awesome.
Props to Howie for being like Jarius Byrd. No.
Yeah, there were two safeties that got big money. I think Bird and Ward, TJ Ward.
Yes.
Yeah, they both got big contracts this year. That year, and Malcolm got about $5 million. Those other guys got about $8 million. We got the best out of the three.
He fit
by far,
like right into that puzzle piece hole.
By far, yep. He's been fantastic, and hopefully he can come up with a couple more big plays. And
oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
Oh, speaking of that, we had that up on the thing. What do you guys think about the Hall of Fame? I'm going to pop into that for a minute.
Do you have any more awards, Sean, or should we just go to the?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that was your last one, wasn't it?
I had one more. It was the non-Carson Wentz offensive MVP.
Ertzy?
I like Ertz. Yeah, I'd say Ertz. Ertz's been the most consistent, like, threat, I think, all year.
I think I'm with that.
Yeah.
Ertzy or Aguilar? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to say
Aguilar.
Lane Johnson.
Yeah, he's stoned quite a few elite pass rushers, that's for sure.
Stoned.
It must be an old person term.
No, not at all. I just thought it's funny because he has, with his drug issues, using
I gotcha.
that for Lane is
I
kind
gotcha.
of apropos.
Yeah.
Not that his drugs were the same as that drug, but it's still.
But thank God he didn't get suspended again because he was on the verge of getting, what, 2 years? 1 year? 2 years?
Ooh.
He had a 4 and a 10, right?
I think it's
Yep.
multi-year next time.
It's a whole
Pretty
year.
sure he went complete green, like doesn't take any supplements at all. Even like watches his diet really well now because he has to.
Right, yeah. Get
So
get that poppy seed in there.
Your thought on next year, do you guys think that Jason Peters can come back as the starting left tackle? Or do you think it's time for the shift? I mean, it depends on how he recovers, obviously, from the injury. But
Yeah.
your guess at his age, I think he'll be 36 next year, sometime during the season. Do you think you can still be a starting left tackle? I mean, that's basically outside of Jackie Robinson, which was it was the Rams left tackle that was playing like into his mid to late 30s. That no left tackle really starts at age 36 or older.
Okay, I'm trying to think. I know the Ravens had one. The Ravens had a beast like that for a long time.
Ogden.
Yes,
Ogden.
Jonathan Ogden. That's it. And Peters is actually 36 in a couple weeks, January 22nd.
No, that's even less exciting.
I think. Yes.
I would say.
I think he could.
Go ahead, Mike.
I would probably say yes. Obviously, it's very dependent on what other
Right.
left tackle options there are.
And how he comes back. But, I mean, he's been a monster. I mean, he was good this year until he got hurt. So, I mean, did you see a lot of decline this year?
But that's the slippery slope, is that you can lose the step that edge rusher can get past you. And before you know it, Carson's getting sacked 10 times. And I don't need Carson getting blindsided coming back on that ACL that's corrected.
From a left tackle coming back
Yeah.
from an ACL that's corrected.
Yeah.
You can lose a step, but I think that a lot of playing offensive line.
But I think he already did lose a step. I think he's not what he was 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, no, he's definitely.
And you say it's going to
not, but
compound to the point that he might
I think
not
a
be
lot
ready.
I think a lot more of offensive line is on technique than it is on athleticism. Personally, I mean, I think he's obviously not the same athlete, but he was effective this year. I mean, he was good this year, and my personal thought would be it's really up to him if he wants to come back and he wants to, make a push and play again. I think I think he'll play. It's hard, and maybe you move him to guard, or I don't know.
Yeah, no,
what you
that's
do
my
with him,
thought.
but-
I'm like, what kind of mauling offensive line would you have if you have him and Brooks as your two guards with Kelsey pulling and moving out? Like, I mean, well, it still leaves you with a gap on left tackle, though. I mean, it still leaves you.
Right.
And then you're talking about shuffling, and it was called by you, Sean. I was a proponent of moving Lane to left tackle when Peters got injured, and they've certainly stabilized and they play pretty well, keeping him on right. If Peters decides that this is the year that I'm going to slide into guard, do you try to get a left tackle, or do you move Lane at that point in the offseason?
I think then you move Lane. Lock me down for then you move Lane.
I think you can move him. I maybe you have time, move him and see how he responds. You definitely don't want to lose he's an elite right tackle, so you don't want to lose that eliteness. If you move him and he's not the same player, I'd put him back at right and plug anybody else in, honestly. I mean, he gives you a decided advantage on that side. And it's not like the old days where everybody, your best rusher is always coming from that left side. Lane Johnson's had his nice fair share of Khalil Mack and Von Miller this year. So I think you can try him left, but if he doesn't show you that he's the same player by next camp, I'm just moving him back to right.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And then I think, and it depends the way the draft falls, but I think since you have such a big gap between, pick 1 and your 4th round picks, that if a tackle type falls to the late 1st round, that you have to consider that.
I think that would be the prime scenario
For sure.
should it happen. Yeah.
All right. Now we're bouncing to what we were talking about a little bit before, the Hall of Fame predictions. And the two that are most dear to our hearts are T.O. and Dawkins. And one that clearly has the stats but doesn't have aptitude, the attitude, I don't know how to spell charisma,
You got to be a likable guy for the
Yes.
sports writers to vote for you, and he was the opposite of that.
and one that has all that and just has a little bit lower stats as far as safeties go in Dawkins. Who's more likely to get in? Either both, neither, or if you had to think one of them would get in, who would it be? Because I mean, pure stats wise, T.O. deserves to be in the
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
I think T.O. just because of the stats. I mean, I prefer Dawkins over T.O., but I think just T.O.'s got it better. And they love stats. I mean, it's what everybody can plug into easier, Like, you can look at him, make all those catches, and look how many catches he made, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
So I'd say
stats,
T.O.
And he has
Right.
more name recognition outside of Philly than Dawkins does. And I just feel like I think he's been snubbed the past 2 years, and there's
Right.
kind of been a big reaction to that. People thinking besides what he was off the field, he was definitely deserving of being a Hall of Fame player on the field. And I think this year might finally be the year for him.
If he had kept his nose down and not done all that dumb shit like running to the star and all that nonsense, he'd be in right now. And that crying over his quarterback and just all the other weird shit he did.
Sit-ups in the driveway.
Yeah, man.
Well,
he'd be in now.
breaking team chemistry up on multiple teams.
Oh, on multiple teams. Yeah, absolutely. But if he hadn't done any of that, he'd be in the Hall of Fame now.
I'm gonna say T.O. gets snubbed one.
Probably have a
year,
Super
Dawg
Bowl.
gets in.
I don't like this snub because like all these older like people with votes like don't want to vote him in because he doesn't act the appropriate way.
Yeah,
well,
it's
he caught the approappropriate way, and you're
Right.
being judged on being a wideout, not who you were as a person.
His athletic gifts are unquestioned. You can't watch, especially in his prime when he'd run. I mean,
I'd love to see Doc get in, but he's just a little short in the interceptions and the sacks. and I think he's going to fall a little short. I think
Not
T.O.
only that, but when they announced the class, the first thing I saw was the ESPN article, and I saw Randy Moss, Steve Hutchinson, and Urlacher and I'm like, oh god, no way Dawkins is getting in, because you have these like name brand,
Right.
Like Randy Moss is definitely getting in.
Oh,
Steve
yeah.
Hutchinson is probably the best guard in a long time. He's getting in. Urlacher has the name recognition of maybe the best of any of them. So regardless, Urlacher could have been the worst linebacker in the league, but he's getting in.
Yeah.
He wasn't, but there's no way he's not getting in. So there's 3, and they're only taking 5. So that they're taking 5 of the
So there's
current
3 right
players. Yeah. So then that leaves you with Tony Baselli, who's a great tackle, Isaac Bruce, Dawkins, Alan Faneca, another great guard, Joe Jacoby, another tackle, Edgar and James, Ty Law is a good
Steve
thing
Atwater.
there, John Lynch, Kevin Mawai, and Everson Walls.
Oh, Lynch might get in too then, because of name recognition.
Although I think if Lynch got in over Dawkins,
That would be a sham.
that would be horrible. Lynch is, I don't know.
Their stats don't remotely compare.
Lynch would be a special teamer in today's NFL, by the way.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, I've leaned towards T.O., but I want it to be Dawkins, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think everybody here preferred Dawkins, but it's T.O. is much more likely in my mind.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're staying warm. Sean, you got anything to add?
No, well, actually, yeah.
Okay.
This is a tough. The negativity is starting to piss me off a little bit. I feel like most Eagles fans are hesitant to. Not most. I say there's a big faction of Eagles fans out there that are hesitant to buy in, and I'm with you. I mean, after what we've seen the past couple of weeks, I'm not exactly encouraged either. But I still think there's a 50-50 chance. And if you would have, if we could have given the option to take a first round bye and home field advantage through the playoffs, but you're going to lose Carson Wentz at the beginning of the season, I think we would have all raised our hands. And you haven't been in this situation since, 2004? So 13 years ago?
Yeah.
I don't even know if you're going to be alive for the next time you do this. Just enjoy it. Just go in, buy in. If they lose, whatever. We'll move on. We'll go next year. We lose every other year anyway, so what's the difference? just buy in.
It could be Cleveland.
That's right.
Just enjoy it.
Just embrace.
Yeah, exactly. Embrace the disappointment if it happens. That's what life is all about. So
Yeah, I mean,
if you don't feel that emotion, you're not alive. So just embrace it.
We're taking the ride anyways. You might as well enjoy it.
yeah, you could have 27 starting quarterbacks since 1999.
Oh, Browns.
Sorry, Josh.
And then it goes right on going.
Woo-hoo-hoo. All right, I like that. I'm with you, Sean. So everybody, come on, get geared up, get excited. Got to buy in the playoffs and home field advantage. So
And we'll talk about the matchup once we know who they're going to play.
absolutely. All right, till then, take care. Good night, and we love you. Beers and Birds is a Lounge Legends production. With free beer tomorrow and a $5 charge for whining.
What you gonna bring to the table tonight? Give it to me, and I'm gonna give it to you. They don't understand the hunger we got in our doggone belly. It ain't no doggone tomorrow, fellas. We gonna store up today, or we gonna store out. Or you gonna bust somebody in their mouth? All out, all in. 1, 2, 3, all in, baby. The time has come. The time has come.
I'm always amazed by the way when he puts on that uniform and he puts on that helmet, how he really transforms into something that he really isn't.
Let's go, baby. Let's break the chains down. Let's go, baby. Turn it up. Turn it up.
He steps away. They knock the ball loose. The Eagles have recovered.
Party at the ball, baby. Party at the ball. There's a party at the ball. We gotta get on the field. Go, go. Is the X button to go faster? Oh, yeah. It wasn't working.
The hit by Dawkins. The hit by Dawkins.
Short memory. And we moving on to the Giants, doggone it. One down. 1, 2, 3. Keep it going.